Sports have always been an important part of our civilization. In theory, college sports provided an important opportunity for teaching people about character, motivation, loyalty, and the attainment of one's personal best. When college sports were first organized in the United States, they were viewed as an extracurricular activity that was designed to aid in the education of the whole person. However, in modern day college sports, many student athletes are not encouraged to prioritize the development of their intellect. Instead, many student athletes, especially at institutions with prestigious sports programs, are pushed to prioritize their sports while neglecting academics. Therefore, college sports have steered away from the primary purpose of its creation. As a result, the prioritization of athletics over academics has led to many negative perceptions and stereotypes of student athletes. Student athletes are viewed as dumb jocks, lazy, pompous, careless, and undedicated to academics, and are believed to have a privileged lifestyle. Many stereotypes are formulated and placed upon groups of people based on characteristics like race and gender. One of the biggest groups that are victimized by negative stereotypes are African American student athletes, viewed as dumb jocks and are perceived as more athletic than whites.
A study conducted from 2007 to 2010 found that 2.8% of blacks on college campuses were seeking degrees full-time, while 57% of blacks were players on the college football team. Such findings lead faculty and non-athletes to think that African Americans are only interested in playing sports and not in pursuing a higher education. In reality, although there are African Americans that do attend college to obtain a degree, the vast majority are involved in sports, something embedded in them since childhood. Since sports have gained a reputation in black society to provide extraordinary opportunities, as seen with players like Kobe Bryant, parents often push their kids to excel in their sports and forget about education. By the time they reach their college years, they are more focused on making it to the pros than they are on pursuing a degree.
I see environmental issues that will impact a student of any race, and a lot starts at home, and what the parents' expectations are of the student, or what opportunities the student has. What messages are sent to that student by the parents, the family, the teachers as they're growing up. Do they learn by comments that people make that, well, I'm good here, so I'll lean this way, versus I should work a little harder on this side? Maybe they don't get that message that they're capable.
Basically that we don't take being a student seriously, but we just put athletes first, our athletics first, and yeah.
Do you think the media portrays jocks to be unintelligent and pompous, which creates these preconceived judgments?
Yes, I can definitely think that the media can portray athletes that way.
Okay, so what are some stereotypes of student athletes today, like that are out there?
A couple that I can think of are maybe that like some student athletes aren't as smart or maybe don't put as great as effort into the classroom that they can.
Yeah, I do. If you notice, like in a lot of movies, especially a lot of, not to diss football, but a lot of football movies have the starting quarterback or the star player as this unintelligent yet popular guy, and I think that's given all athletes a bad name because since we're athletic, we're automatically seen as given advantages and stuff like that, where a lot of it is not true.
Another common student-athlete stereotype is the one against women. The feminist theory is still a factor. Women athletes are still suppressed by stereotypes. Society has preconceived notions on how women should portray themselves, and if women do not follow these notions, they are judged. Now ask yourself, have you ever looked at a woman and thought, does she look muscular or tall enough to play a sport, or judge her by the way she might dress? Because of these stereotypes, many women feel the need to over-feminize themselves to prevent being viewed as lesbians because they are not as feminine as women are expected to be. Also, men in the sports world are seen as more dominating, especially in sports like basketball and football, where they are viewed as more skillful, stronger, and aggressive and perform at higher intensity than women. In addition, the average male athlete receives on average $598 more aid per year, and men's teams on average get $271,490 more on recruiting athletes than women. With these averages, we can see men are more favored when it comes to intercollegiate sports. Men receiving more money makes it seem as if women aren't as important and aren't as taken as seriously when it comes to sports. As a result, Title IX has been enforced to distribute the money among gender sports more equally. Despite this, the stereotypes have not been removed and still exist today.
When I was at Butler, I think there's a difference between what people see you as and what basketball really is. For women's sports, like, oh, you know, they don't work as long as the men's basketball team, they don't train as hard, they don't lift as much, when in reality we're in the weight room just as much, sometimes if not more, practicing on the court more, and just, I think, you like think about women's basketball players in college, immediately people just think you're just different from everyone, as in the way you look, the way you talk, the way you walk, dress, everything.
Stereotypes against student athletes can have negative effects on their success. These negative stereotypes can produce anxiety in these individuals and thus lower the ability of their performance. They become concerned as to how others view them. Not only can this affect their ability to play their sport, it can also affect their ability in the classroom. Underperforming due to this anxiety could lead student athletes to believe they don't belong in college as students. Many times, professors are the ones that create negative stereotypes against the student athletes. This could lead to a loss of the student's trust in the professor, and the student becomes hesitant to get help or visit their professor's office hours, which can hurt their academics down the road. Many students in the classroom might believe student athletes are dumb and do not want to include them in their groups, leaving the student athletes isolated. Student athletes can also be stereotyped because their student and athlete identities both compete and contradict themselves. Students are expected to have academic skill, whereas athletes are expected to lack academic ability. Negative stereotypes can also lead to a lack of involvement of student athletes in the campus and limit their college experience. They may lose out on a lot of the resources offered on their campus, such as clubs, tutoring, and many other different services.
The way to change it comes from the athletes themselves and changing the way they portray themselves and stuff like that. So like if an athlete's trying to say that they're not obnoxious, then they need to stop acting like it. Or if they're not acting like it, then tell their friends like, hey, knock it off. That's not why we're here. You know, they have to kind of change. They have to want to change it. It's not. I don't think it's. And once athletes start wanting to change and start changing, then I think faculty and everybody else will start seeing them as non-stereotypical athletes.
And I think interaction between athletes and normal students is always good, and you can always talk to those student athletes who are in your class, or we can talk to normal students. I mean, we're just all regular people.
I think part of it is as simple as it sounds. By mentoring our student athletes so they understand that perception and that they are part of changing the stereotype by their behavior, by their actions and their words. And that, to me, is the best way to change a culture when it needs to evolve a little bit more. So they have to handle themselves appropriately in the classroom. It's as simple as, I don't know if anyone's advised you where to sit in a class, but don't sit in the back. You want to sit towards the front of the class. You want to participate in the class. You want to always be respectful.